Hi everyone, this is just a quick video to show you how to use our newly updated sound system here at Bayshill and just show you what you can do with it. So let's dive straight into it. First thing to say is something about microphones. We have two microphones available at Bayshill, and I think one of the common misconceptions about microphones is it's all about volume, when in actual fact in a hall of this size the main reason to be using a microphone is to ensure that people who have some hearing difficulties can pick us up on the loop system. So it doesn't need to be booming and loud, it just needs to be something that someone can pick up. So let's talk about the two microphones that we have. The first one is this handheld one, which is really easy. You can just pass it around. And this one, it's got a red sticker on the front, which I'll show you why that is the case in a moment. But to use this microphone, important things to note, you switch it on with that big button there. Eventually got it, and you should see the 2-1 appearing. The only button you should ever press on this microphone is that big one in the middle. It has two purposes: to switch it on and off, which is a press and hold, and you can also mute the microphone by pressing it, and it will turn red. But those are the only two things you should ever do with it. And once it's on like that, when I use it, I've got to be quite close to it to get a sound. So I'm going to up the volume here. And hopefully, I don't know whether you can pick that up on the mics, but hopefully that you can hear that is coming through very clearly on the sound system. So let's just look at the sound system next to show you where this fits. Now, if you're looking at that and thinking, oh, that looks a bit worrying and complicated, don't worry too much, because the only button you're going to need to use that handheld microphone, see the red sticker here, is reflecting the same red sticker there. So the only thing you're going to need to use to make the microphone work is that white slider. So that's 0, and if I take it up, we'll hear the sound go up. Don't touch anything else on this side and you'll be okay. All you want to use is the white slider up and down. So let's move on to our second microphone. The second microphone is what's known as a gooseneck microphone. You can see it's very hard to see on video actually, but it's on a stand, and it can be adjusted to be used in a seated position or behind a lectern. It's pretty easy to adjust. It's a bit stiff, but there's a little tightener just there where you can tighten it up once you've got the right position for it. And the gooseneck, it's not going to boom like the handheld microphone, but it will pick people up within a reasonable range. So you don't need to be on top of this one to be heard, and the loop will pick it up quite well. One thing I should have mentioned is that it's always a good idea to check your batteries before you start using microphones, because both our microphones use batteries. And in the case of this one, you can see the battery pack just at the bottom here. You can just have a look and see in there actually, usually, whether the battery's okay. This is a new battery, so it's fine. If you wanted to change the battery, you just take it out of there and open the battery compartment. But basically, once you're sure it's okay, the on-off switch is at the top as well. So this is how you switch the microphone on before you start. Once you're sure it's okay, wrap it round there. It's Velcro wrapped, and you're good to go. And once again, you can see the blue sticker that I've put on the base of this stand, which corresponds with the blue sticker on the mixer desk. And once again with this, I'm going to say just use the white slide, don't use anything else to adjust the volume. And you can hear that's not as booming even at the top as the other one, but if I'm within a reasonable distance of the microphone, and that could be up to 2 feet away, it's going to pick me up okay. But the levels here are set higher all the time, just because of the type of microphone that it is. So I'm going to say to you, please don't use all the buttons at the top there. If you leave those as they are, they should be okay where they are. For the microphones, just use the white slider buttons to adjust volume. And just to give you an illustration, this is what this microphone might look like in use. You can see it's a little over a foot away from me, but I can move around and it's still sort of picking me up. So someone using the loop system will be able to hear me quite well, even though you can hear it through the speakers, but it's not that loud. It doesn't need to be. So let's talk about playing audio files on this system. There are a variety of ways of doing that. If you want to play a CD, that's really straightforward. You can see I've got the white slider once again here to adjust volume, and the CD player is down here. So bung your CD in. Make sure that actually there's a CD USB thing here, and occasionally that's thrown people because you can play USBs through the system. So just make sure it is on CD when you play it. It will say CD there. But just to play a CD, you simply hit play and it will go, and if I take the volume up, we'll hear whatever it is I'm playing. Again, you shouldn't need to mess too much with the gain at the top. I would kind of ignore that. That could make it go very loud. But actually, I think for the size of room we've got, about 10 o'clock is fine for that. And you've got enough volume within that to do what you need to. There may be times when you want to make slight adjustments for tone and things on these grey buttons here. You can experiment a little with that, but again, if you can ignore the top again, that would be really useful, and your main control here is the white slide. There are a couple of ways to attach your own devices with a wire to this sound system. So the first one I'll mention is this phono jack here, and that is if you were, for example, plugging in, looks like this, hello. That was if you were plugging into a computer or similar, so I'm going to plug that into my computer. There it is. You can see the green sticker there, the green sticker on the system. So again, I can change the volume using the white slide. And again, because it's music, I could make some slight adjustments in terms of tone and so on. If I want to attach a device by USB, I simply plug in here into that USB slot, and you can see that the USB slider is here. If that doesn't work, don't forget there is also a USB slot on the front of the CD player, which I found worked better for my old iPhone than the other USB slot did. Now, another thing to mention is it is possible to connect devices by Bluetooth from your phone, etc. So this is a bit tricky though, because there's a slight risk here of you turning everything into Chinese or Korean in this little display here where we put in the Bluetooth settings. So I'm not sure that's actually showing on the recording very well, but at the moment that says no device connected. So I'm assuming here that when you do this, you have made your phone discoverable. You put your Bluetooth on, and to connect to Bluetooth, you would take the left button at the bottom there, one that says play pause, and you'd press that twice to make the thing discoverable. And the device you're after is labelled something like BT23, I think it is. And finally, the last thing to mention is that if you come in and there's no sound, two things to check. Is it on at the plug? And has someone turned the master volume down? There's no need to move this generally, but that's where it should be. So if that master volume's gone down, then that's why it's not playing. An alternative explanation would be that someone has turned down one of the red gain buttons that you can see towards the top of the mixing desk. So generally speaking though, you shouldn't need to touch those. That would be the only reason you would need to, would be when someone had done that.